All right, let's dive in. Today, we're tackling cybersecurity training.
Ooh, sounds intense.
It is, but fascinating. We're taking you straight into a 4-day Microsoft course.
Wow, 4 days. That's a lot.
Oh yeah, this is serious stuff.
Yeah.
Specifically, the Enterprise Skills Initiative.
So we're talking real-world, hands-on stuff here.
Exactly. And our source material is a transcript from day one, led by instructor Nestor Reveron.
So are we like virtual students in this class then?
You got it. Imagine a virtual classroom, buzzing with students from all sorts of tech backgrounds, ready to absorb everything about cybersecurity.
I can practically feel the anticipation.
Right. And Nestor, he kicks things off by emphasizing, hey, this is an intro course. We're building a foundation here.
Makes sense. Got to start somewhere.
Absolutely. And he even mentions different Microsoft certs you can get, like the SC-900 for the theoretical side of things.
Ah, so like the why behind cybersecurity.
You got it. Then there's the SC-500, more for those with some tech know-how under their belts.
Makes sense. Different levels for different folks.
Right. And then we've got the SC-300 and 400. Those get into the nitty-gritty, like tools and compliance.
So like how to actually do the cybersecurity thing.
Exactly. And you know what strikes me about these certs? They show just how important formal training is in this field.
It's like you wouldn't trust just anyone to build a bridge, right? You want someone certified, someone who knows what they're doing.
Absolutely. And in cybersecurity, where things are constantly changing, having those credentials, man, they make a difference.
Big time. Okay, so we've got the students, we've got the certs. What's the meat of day one?
Ah, the main course. Get this, Microsoft Defender XDR. It's like the ultimate cybersecurity toolkit.
Ooh, XDR. I've heard that thrown around. What's the deal with it?
Well, think of it like a Swiss Army knife of security tools. Got everything you need to detect, investigate, fight off threats all in one place.
Okay, that's starting to make sense. So it's not just one thing, it's a whole suite.
Exactly. And that's what's so powerful about XDR. It's this unified approach. Instead of having all these separate security solutions that don't talk to each other.
Right, because that's chaos, like trying to herd cats.
Exactly. XDR brings it all together, makes it so much more effective.
So you're not constantly playing catch-up, trying to connect the dots between different systems.
Exactly. Now, here's where Nestor makes a really cool distinction. He talks about Defender for Identity and Azure AD protection.
Two different things, huh? I'm guessing both important, but how are they different?
That's the key, right. So Defender for Identity, that's all about securing your on-premises Active Directory.
Ah, so that's like the traditional server-based system a lot of organizations still use.
You got it. Managing users, permissions, all that. And Azure AD protection. That kicks in for identities in the cloud.
Makes sense. Different environments, different tools.
Right. Think of it like protecting a physical building versus protecting your data in cyberspace.
Okay, I can see that. Defender for Identities, your on-the-ground security team. Azure AD Protection's your cyber guardian.
Exactly.
Oh.
Now, buckle up, because this is where things get interesting. Nestor introduces us to Adele, a fictional employee on a business trip to Dubai.
Oh, Dubai. Sounds fancy.
Right. But here's the twist. She's trying to access company apps, but she's using the Tor browser on a brand new device.
Uh-oh. Red flag city.
You bet. This sets off alarm bells for Azure AD protection. Unusual travel pattern, anonymizing browser, accessing sensitive stuff from an unmanaged device.
Talk about a recipe for trouble.
And you know what?
Yeah.
Her access gets blocked.
Good catch.
Right. But the whole point of the scenario is to show how powerful Azure AD protection is.
I mean, it's like having this watchful eye constantly scanning for anything out of the ordinary.
Exactly. It's automated risk detection at its best.
That's impressive. So even if Adele wasn't intentionally doing anything wrong, the system still flagged it.
Exactly. And that's the level of security we need these days, right?
Absolutely, because the bad guys, they're not always going to announce themselves with a big red flag.
Now, another key takeaway from the training, role-based access control, RBAC.
Ooh, RBAC. I've heard that one too. What's that all about?
So it's all about managing access to XDR, right? Making sure the right people have the right level of access.
Makes sense. Don't want just anyone poking around in sensitive systems.
And Nestor actually walks the students through creating a custom role in Defender for Endpoint, like support level 1.
So you're tailoring access to specific roles and responsibilities?
Precisely. And the whole idea behind RBAC is this principle of least privilege.
Meaning you only give people access to what they absolutely need to do their job, nothing more.
Exactly. It's like, imagine if any employee could access customer credit card data.
Oh, that's a scary thought.
Right. RBAC helps prevent that. Make sure only authorized personnel have access to that level of sensitive information.
Okay, REOVAC, got it. Controlling who sees what. So what happens next in this training?
Well, hold on to your hats, because Nestor simulates a cyber attack.
Whoa, really? Like a live demo?
Yeah. He injects malicious code into this virtual machine.
Oh no, he's unleashing the digital kraken.
I know, right? And this code, it's designed to download an external file, mimic that command and control behavior, like what real attackers do.
So it's like a controlled experiment, but with real-world tactics.
Exactly. And it gets even better.
Wait, it gets better than a simulated cyber attack? I'm on the edge of my seat.
Oh, yeah. Defender for Endpoint, it leaps into action. All these alerts start popping up on the dashboard.
It's showtime.
I know, right? And you can see everything, the attack timeline, the affected assets.
So it's not just, oh, something's wrong. It's giving you the whole picture.
You got it. And it isolates the threat in real time.
That's incredible. So it's not just detecting, it's actually taking action to stop the attack.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of that centralized XDR platform.
It's like having a security team working 24/7, analyzing every little detail, ready to spring into action.
You got it. It streamlines everything, makes incident response so much faster and more effective.
Well, that's reassuring because it sounds like the bad guys are always coming up with the new tricks.
Well, absolutely. But having tools like this, knowing how to use them, that's how we stay ahead of the game.
Back in the cybersecurity training hot seat, we left off with a pretty intense simulated attack and a glimpse of Microsoft Defender for Endpoint in action.
I'm still reeling from Adele's Dubai adventure,
Yeah.
That whole thing with Azure AD protection was impressive, how it caught those red flags instantly. Like a digital guardian angel, always on the lookout.
You need that kind of vigilance in today's threat landscape, no doubt. But shifting gears a bit, Nestor moves on to discuss the importance of having a well-defined incident response plan.
Oh yeah, he hammered that point home. Like having an incident response plan is non-negotiable. Think about it. If a fire breaks out, you don't want to be figuring out who calls 911 while the building's burning down, right?
Absolutely. It's not enough to just have security tools in place. You got to know how to use them effectively when an incident happens. A well-rehearsed plan, it lays out clear roles, responsibilities, communication protocols, escalation procedures, the whole 9 yards.
Love that analogy. It's all about preparedness, knowing what to do and who to contact when those alarms start blaring.
Spot on. And Nestor shares some great incident response best practices. Things like containing the threat, gathering evidence, eradicating malware, restoring affected systems, the whole shebang. It's like a digital forensics team, carefully investigating the crime scene, piecing together the evidence.
And like any good investigation, documentation is key. Nestor really emphasized keeping detailed logs of every single step taken during that incident response process. Why is that so important?
Well, think of it this way. That documentation, it's vital for a bunch of reasons. It helps teams learn from the incident, refine their response plan for next time. It can even provide valuable evidence if legal action's ever needed down the line.
So it's not just about putting out the fire, it's about learning from the ashes. Okay, so what else did Nestor cover on the second day?
Well, he introduced the concept of threat intelligence, getting to know your enemy, so to speak. He talked about various sources of threat intel, things like open source databases, industry reports, even these info-sharing platforms where security pros can collaborate and share insights about emerging threats.
So it's like having a global network of spies, all working together to identify and track the latest cybercriminal activity. Sounds intense.
It is, but that intel is crucial for defending proactively. By understanding the tactics, techniques, and procedures of attackers, their TTPs, security teams can strengthen their defenses and be better prepared to respond if an attack happens.
So it's not just about reacting to threats, it's about anticipating them, being one step ahead.
Exactly. Threat intelligence, it lets you play offense, like a chess grandmaster, anticipating their opponent's next move. What else? Oh, another key concept that came up. Security awareness training for employees.
How important is that, really?
Oh, this is a topic near and dear to my heart. See, employees, they're often the weakest link in an organization's security posture. They might unknowingly click on phishing links, download malicious attachments, use weak passwords, things like that, inadvertently opening the door to attackers.
And Nestor, he really drove home the point that investing in regular security awareness training is paramount.
Absolutely. It's about empowering employees to be part of the solution, not the problem, creating a culture of security within the organization.
You're basically turning every employee into a vigilant defender of their digital assets.
Precisely. Effective training programs, they can teach employees to recognize and avoid common social engineering tactics, understand the importance of strong passwords, know how to report suspicious activity, that kind of thing.
So it's not just about firewalls and fancy software. It's about having a human firewall as well.
Exactly. Now, what else? Oh, Nestor then introduced the concept of vulnerability scanning. Think of it like a digital health checkup for your IT infrastructure.
It's like a detective looking for cracks in your defenses.
Precisely. Vulnerability scanners, they're these automated tools that probe your systems, looking for known weaknesses. Things like outdated software, misconfigurations, even default passwords. And once those vulnerabilities are identified, they ought to be prioritized and addressed. Patching, updating software, changing configurations, you name it.
And Nestor emphasized that vulnerability management is an ongoing process, not a one-time fix. You got to be constantly vigilant, identifying and addressing weaknesses before they can be exploited.
It's like this constant game of cat and mouse with attackers. They're always finding new ways to exploit vulnerabilities, and security teams need to be just as relentless in their efforts to find and fix those weaknesses.
Sounds exhausting, but also kind of thrilling in a way.
It definitely keeps you on your toes. So that brings us to the end of day 2 of this cybersecurity training deep dive. Organizations, they need to adopt this multi-layered security approach, combining technology, processes, a culture of awareness to effectively defend against those increasingly sophisticated cyber attacks.
It's like building a fortress, not just with walls and moats, but with vigilant guards, trained defenders, and even spies keeping an eye on the enemy.
A great analogy. We've covered a ton of ground already. Certifications, Defender XDR, incident response, threat intelligence, security awareness training, vulnerability management, and there's still more to come.
My head's spinning, but in a good way. I'm ready for day 3. Bring it on. Back for more cybersecurity goodness. We've tackled on-premises and identity protection, and now it's time to journey into the cloud.
Buckle up. This is where things get really interesting. The cloud has its own unique security challenges, and that's where Microsoft Defender for Cloud comes in.
Defender for Cloud, huh? Sounds powerful.
It is! Think of it as your cloud security guardian, constantly watching over your Azure and hybrid environments for any threats, vulnerabilities, misconfigurations, you name it.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture. But why is having this unified security platform so crucial in the cloud specifically?
It's all about visibility and control. Defender for Cloud gives you this centralized dashboard where you can see the security posture of all your cloud resources, everything from virtual machines and storage accounts to databases and web applications.
It's like a central command center for your cloud security.
Exactly. It's like having an air traffic control tower for your cloud infrastructure, monitoring everything in real time.
Love that analogy. And just like air traffic controllers, Defender for Cloud helps you spot potential collisions, or in this case, security incidents, before they even happen.
Precisely. And what's really cool is Defender for Cloud doesn't just identify threats, it also provides recommendations on how to strengthen your security posture.
So it's like having a built-in cybersecurity consultant.
You got it. Nestor even compares it to having a personal cybersecurity trainer, helping you stay in tip-top shape.
Always good to have an expert in your corner. So how does this translate into concrete actions?
Defender for Cloud analyzes your cloud configurations, spots potential weaknesses, and then guides you on how to fix those vulnerabilities.
So it's not just pointing out problems, it's helping you solve them.
Absolutely. Things like enabling encryption, enforcing strong password policies, restricting network access, the works. This proactive approach is essential in the cloud, where the threat landscape is constantly shifting and evolving.
And speaking of evolution, Nestor drops another game changer on us. Azure Arc.
Oh yeah, Azure Arc. This is where the lines between the cloud and on-premises environments really start to blur.
How so?
Azure Arc lets you manage and secure your entire IT estate from a single pane of glass in Azure, regardless of where those resources actually reside.
So whether it's on-premises servers, edge devices, or even other cloud platforms, it's all under one umbrella.
Precisely. It's like having a universal remote control for your entire IT infrastructure.
That's powerful. And Nestor actually shows how to onboard an on-premises server into Azure Arc and then apply those Defender for Cloud security policies to that server, even though it's not physically located in Azure.
It's mind-blowing, right? This seamless integration is a game changer for security. You can apply consistent security policies, monitor for threats, and respond to incidents across your entire hybrid and multi-cloud environment.
That's pretty incredible. So as this intensive training wraps up, what's the final takeaway?
Nestor leaves us with this crucial piece of advice. Stay up to date on the latest cybersecurity threats and best practices.
So it's not like you learn this stuff once and you're good to go.
Oh no, this is an ongoing journey. The threat landscape is constantly changing, so you got to keep learning and evolving your skills.
So always be learning, always be adapting. Sounds like solid advice for life in general.
Absolutely. Nestor encourages us to tap into all those awesome resources Microsoft provides, things like documentation, logs, online communities, to keep learning and growing.
It's like having a whole cybersecurity support system at your fingertips.
Exactly. Well, that brings us to the end of our cybersecurity training deep dive. From certifications and Defender XDR to vulnerability management and the intricacies of cloud security, we've covered a ton of ground.
My brain is definitely full, but it's been an amazing journey.
And to wrap things up, I'd like to leave you with this thought-provoking question. In a world where cyber attacks are becoming increasingly common and sophisticated, what steps are you taking to ensure that you and your organization are adequately prepared?
It's a question worth pondering, for sure. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of cybersecurity. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay safe.